Good evening, Baillor.
Good evening, Gloria, and thank you for having me.
We're glad to have you. Can you give us some background to why these particular elections are extremely tense? What has been happening prior to the elections?
Well, one doesn't need to be a security expert in order to understand what is happening in Guinea right now or what has happened prior to the elections. If I may go back just a year without going too far, President Alpha Conde, who is currently the president, his term was meant to be ending this year, but for some reasons, rumors surfaced last year that he wanted to stand for a third term. So in order for him to succeed, there had to be a change of constitution. And so having said that, they decided to kind of organize a referendum. But prior to the referendum, opposition leaders or political parties across the country opposed the idea, and also civil societies, trade unions, and they all joined together. They kind of said, look, this is not a good idea and we don't support it. You are only changing the constitution because you are wanting to seek a third term. So they organized a group called le FNDC, which stands for le Front National pour la Défense de la Constitution, meaning the Front National for the Defense of the Constitution. So after organizing that, since then, over 50 people have been killed, and mainly from one ethnic tribe, according to reports. Even Amnesty International reported that over 50 people have been killed since last year. So, so that was basically the things that have led to the tensions. And just to come back to the elections, during the campaign, things were really, really tense, and both parties throwing insults at one another, the opposition accusing the government of inciting hatred, whereas the government as well is accusing the opposition of inciting hatred.
Now is him seeking a third term, that's Alpha Conde's decision to seek a third term, the only reason why there's such a huge opposition to his presidency? Is that the only reason?
Well, that's one of the reasons, but also his term was meant to be ending, as I mentioned at the beginning. Guinea's constitution states that a person is only allowed to stand for 2 terms. And Alpha Conde was elected based on that constitution. So opposition political parties are claiming he is changing the constitution because that favors him. And he's also accused of divide and rule, ethnic tensions between the Fulani community or the Fulani tribe and also his own tribe, the Madingos, or as they call them in Guinea, le Malinke. So that tension is there between the Fulanis and the Malinkes since President Alpha Conde came to power. But as I said, that's an allegation. It is an allegation that him as well, he's denied. He said he's not dividing the country. But since he took over, there has been protest after protest. And most of the time, as I mentioned, many of the people that are killed, over 200 people since 2010, 90% of them are from the ethnic Fulani community.
All right, now dozens of citizens have died and continue to die in the lead up to the elections. What was the atmosphere like during the election itself?
To be surprised, on the day of the election, it was calm. Everything went smoothly. There were some allegations of voter irregularities in the northern part of the country or the upper part of Guinea in the Kankang area, Sigiri area, which is the stronghold for the president or President Alpha Conde. Opposition leaders claim that on the day of the election, their observers were kind of chased away. They were not able to observe the election, but the government has denied those allegations.
Right, now when are the election results are likely to be announced, and what is the Electoral Commission saying about the elections?
Your viewers might know, or yourself, the election happened on Sunday, but surprisingly on the Monday, a press conference was called by the UFDG party, the Union for the Democratic Forces of Guinea, the opposition main political party, or the main opposition political party led by Cellou Dalien Diallo. And on that day, 2 p.m. local time, he declared himself a winner, that he had won this year's general election. Although he didn't state how and with the figures that he won it. But few hours later, the Electoral Commission declared Mr. Dalien's claim to be false, that the results are not yet out, and it is only the Electoral Commission that is allowed to release those results. And also the government from their side, the Security Minister, Damatang Albert Kamara, also refuted the result, claiming those are false results, and the opposition is trying to trigger violence in the country.
Right, now what do you think will happen if President Condé is declared the winner? Will the opposition concede?
Well, from my understanding, I doubt that, because the opposition is claiming they did let it go in 2010. They are claiming they won the 2010 election, but due to pressure from the international community, Mr. Dalien Diallo saying he let it go, and in 2015, similar thing happened. And now, 2020, the constitution clearly states Mr. Alpha Condé is not meant to be standing, and he has done a referendum that favors him, and now he stood that when he won, he will not let it go. And just yesterday, last night, some of the electoral results started coming out, the provisional results. The capital Conakry, some of the results in one of the largest areas in Kaloum, and also in the Dixon area and Matam were released. And in terms of those, the current government is said to have won. And also in the other area of Bokeh. Since then, it's been violence in Conakry. Day before yesterday, 4 people were confirmed dead. And since last night to today, I'm not up to date with the figures, but many people have died both sides, including some military men.
Let you go. How are police handling this situation so far?
Sorry, I didn't get that clearly.
How are the police handling the situation so far on the ground?
Well, in Guinea, the relationship between the police and the population is not a very good one. That prior to even Alpha Condé coming to power, the relationship was not really good. Yes, there has been reforms, but as you will know, with many countries in Africa, each time there is a protest, the police does come heavy-handedly. And since day before yesterday, things have not been going the way they should, because the security forces are reacting very heavily. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying other people or these protesters are not doing other things, but in terms of the security-wise, the relationship between the police and the protesters or the civilians is not a good one. There is no trust between them.
All right. Thank you so much, Baillor.
Thank you for having me.